even though the Ebola virus is mostly out of the headlines here in the United States, the disease is still raging across West Africa. It only takes one person getting on a plane to spread this deadly malady. And we still don't have a cure for it. Which brings me to Novavax, nvax, the small-cap speculative vaccine developer that just this morning announced the initiation of a phase 1 clinical trial for its potentially breakthrough Ebola vaccine. Now, Novavax has a proprietary technology platform that lets them develop novel vaccines to protect babies, children, and the elderly against a respiratory illness known as RSV, as well as both seasonal and pandemic varieties of the flu. But it's this Ebola connection that has caused Novavax to rally 42% since we last spoke to the CEO less than a month ago. In short, the stock is flying, despite the early-stage nature of the Ebola research. So we have to ask, can it keep roaring? Let's check in with Stanley Erck. He's the president and CEO of Novavax. Find out more about where his company is headed. Mr. Erck, welcome back to Mad Money. Good to see you, Stan. Thank you. Have a seat.
Thank you very much.
Now, there are a bunch of vaccines that are being talked about, a GlaxoSmithKline, a J&J, a Russian Federation one. Right. Yours is different because of the 100% efficacy we've seen in non-humans, right? That's separate from all the rest.
Well, it's different for 3 or 4 important reasons, if I can.
Sure.
So it's GSK and Merck and J&J all stepped up to the plate a year ago, found projects that had been going on for years and some decades in early stage Ebola vaccines, and they've brought them forward into the clinic to their credit. I think that we have a technology that can bring it to the next stage. What you need for a vaccine like this is, and what our platform does, is it allows us to make a vaccine that you can make large quantities of, millions of doses a month, that is deliverable at refrigerated temperatures instead of minus 70 degrees, which is the problem with the current vaccines. And we get very robust immune responses with our vaccine. We've just demonstrated that in both in animals, and now we expect to do that in humans.
Now, the trial is, I think it's going to confuse people. I did some work on it, but you explained. The trial's in Australia.
Right.
Now, who would want to be in the trial?
It's a great question. So in all vaccine research, and in fact in all drug research, when you start testing your products in humans, you do it in healthy adults. And what we're trying to do in this trial is show that it stimulates a very potent immune response, and it's safe. So people have the misconception that we are injecting infectious material, Ebola material, and we're not. This is now the modern recombinant technology that allows us to take a protein on the surface of the virus, genetically engineer it, and we give you that protein, and that protein is what your body sees, and it stimulates very high levels of antibodies against that protein, and that's what it uses to protect itself.
Now, why would the various non-government organizations, everyone involved, want to go forward and have the Glaxo vaccine, which starts, I think, actually next week?
Yes.
And not yours. I mean, why not? I mean, if yours has great efficacy, why don't we throw everything at it? In other words, why are we doing it in Australia? Why aren't we doing it in some area that is just at risk right now? And just kind of, I hate to say it, but giving it a shot.
Well, my expectation is that we will.
You will. That's what I figured.
And so you have to look at the time sequence here. These GSK and Merck and J&J started about a year ago, bringing this to the point where they can make material that is suitable to go into humans. And we started our project in September. Right. And so our technology allows us to get from the genetic sequence into humans in a matter of 3 or 4 months. And so what everybody wanted, so if you recall, back in August and September, there were thousands of people being infected every month, and with 40 or 50% mortality. And so it was get whatever you can get into humans as quickly as possible. And so that's what's been done. So we've come along and developed call it a second generation version of this, and we'll be very close behind them, I think.
All right. Now, last time we spoke, in terms of something that could be more commercial, we were talking about the flu vaccines, the ones that yours basically morphed to get the new, whatever's, the current one didn't have the efficacy. How's that going?
That's going great. So we have, you mentioned respiratory syncytial virus and flu. The flu virus, so what allows us to do what we did with Ebola is what we did with flu strain. So a new flu strain started circulating in China a year and a half ago. We took the genetic sequence, we made, and that particular virus strain had 50% lethality, and we took that strain and got it into humans in 91 days. And so, so that's the power. So we can make vaccines against emerging viruses, and we can make vaccines against respiratory syncytial virus, which has been around forever. And
so next flu season, will we be using a Novavax vaccine?
I think next flu season, what we'll be doing is going into our phase 3 clinical trials.
Well, that's okay. I mean,
okay.
There are people at risk who want to be in that trial.
You bet. You bet.
Okay. Well, excellent. You've done, even since the time we've seen you, things have progressed rather rapidly.
Yes,
which
we
is
move quickly.
Tribute to Novavax's company. That's Stanley Yerk, the president and CEO of Novavax. It's exciting. It's life-saving, and I think you got to follow this one. Mad Money's back after the break.